Hello, my name is Lars Anderson, and I'm a project manager with the City of Austin. On behalf of the City of Austin, in coordination with the Texas Department of Transportation, or TxDOT, I would like to welcome you to the virtual public hearing for the Burnet Road project. Thank you all for attending. We look forward to receiving your comments. The virtual public hearing for the proposed Burnet Road project launched on Wednesday, May 20th, 2020 at 9 a.m. and will extend through 5 p.m. on Friday, June 5th, 2020. The purpose of this public hearing is to provide an update on the project and to receive public input on the proposed improvements. Today's presentation will include a project overview, an overview of the environmental studies that were completed and their results, and information on how you may provide public comments about the project. In addition to watching this presentation, you may also download a copy of the presentation from the public hearing website at austintexas.gov/BurnetENV. Following the launch of the virtual public hearing, members of the public may call 512-974-8833 at any time to provide verbal comments up to 3 minutes in length through a voicemail system. Members of the public can also submit comments online at austintexas.gov/BurnetENV, by email to burnet@austintexas.gov, or by mail to the City of Austin Corridor Program Office at P.O. Box 1088, Austin, Texas 78767. We want to hear from you, so please take the time to provide your input during the public comment period. Please note that per TxDOT requirements, the City of Austin is not permitted to respond to verbal comments or questions that are received during the official comment period at the previously stated number. All verbal and written comments must be received or postmarked by 5 p.m. on Friday, June 5th, 2020. Responses to verbal and written comments received will be available online at austintexas.gov/BurnetENV once they have been prepared. The public may call project staff during regular office hours from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. to ask questions during the project development process at 512-974-7751. Please note, discussion with project staff will not be included in the official record of this public hearing. If members of the public wish to submit a comment to be a part of the official record of this public hearing following their discussion with project staff, they will need to call 512-974-8833 or provide written comments via one of the methods previously identified. In 2016, Austin voters passed the 2016 Mobility Bond, which provides $720 million for transportation improvements throughout the City of Austin. As part of the Corridor Mobility Program, some of the bond funds are being used to design and construct multimodal improvements on 9 major roadways. Burnet Road, between Koenig Lane and Mopac Expressway, is one of the 9 major roadways in the Corridor Mobility Program. The City of Austin completed a corridor mobility plan for Burnet Road in December of 2013. This virtual public hearing will focus specifically on the segment of Burnet Road beginning at US 183 and extending north for 2.5 miles to the Mopac Frontage Road. The City of Austin conducted an environmental analysis to understand the potential impacts of the proposed mobility, safety, and connectivity improvements for the entire Burnet Road corridor. For Burnet Road between US 183 and the Mopac Frontage Road, the analysis was conducted in accordance with the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, because this portion of Burnet Road is owned and maintained by TxDOT. Some of the proposed improvements evaluated by the City of Austin would be funded by the voter-approved 2016 Mobility Bond. The City has also evaluated the environmental impacts of additional improvements outside the existing right-of-way, which are not yet funded for construction. This is an aerial of the project area. In this image, north is to the right on the screen. The red line indicates the corridor project limits, and the green shading indicates where off-corridor drainage will be addressed as part of the improvements, to be described later in this presentation. This is a typical section of the existing road configuration. The segment of Burnet Road from US 183 to the Mopac Frontage Road currently consists of 4 travel lanes, 2 in the northbound and 2 in the southbound directions, separated by a 2-way center-running left turn lane. There are no existing bicycle lanes, and existing sidewalks lack connectivity. The existing drainage is generally an open ditch system and therefore further hinders pedestrian mobility. The purpose of the project is to address safety concerns and congestion on Burnet Road. Over 35,000 vehicles travel this major Austin roadway per day, and approximately 60 access driveways in 2.5 miles create additional safety concerns. According to crash data collected by the Austin Transportation Department, there were more than 900 crashes on this section of Burnet Road between 2015 and 2020. Those crashes resulted in 23 fatalities or serious injuries. 19 bicyclists or pedestrians were involved in crashes throughout that time observed. Proposed improvements are expected to improve mobility, safety, and connectivity along this 2.5-mile section of the Burnet Road corridor for all users, whether they walk, bike, drive, or take transit. The funded project would include up to 8 traffic signal improvements with enhanced technology, as well as intersection improvements with turn lane modifications in 3 identified locations. The project would also include shared use paths, pavement rehabilitation, raised median islands, drainage improvements, bus stop enhancements, and the reconstruction and modification of some driveways. The city has also evaluated the environmental impacts of additional improvements outside the existing right-of-way, which are not yet funded for construction. These would include 2.5 miles of full street reconstruction to widen Burnet Road from 4 lanes to 6 lanes, with an additional through lane in both travel directions, enhanced and separate pedestrian and bicycle facilities, streetscape, trees, median islands, and street lighting. The unfunded improvements would require an additional 6.14 acres of right-of-way. This typical section provides a view of what the proposed funded improvements would look like. The project would largely be constructed within the existing right-of-way. Starting from the outside moving in, 9-foot shared use paths would be on either side of the road with up to 11-foot landscape sections separating cyclists and pedestrians from the travel lanes. It should be noted that the near-term funded improvements would require limited right-of-way, with needs generally restricted to areas at major intersections with turn lanes. The northbound and southbound travel lanes would remain, and landscaping would be added to the median islands. This typical section provides a preview of what the proposed unfunded improvements would look like. The right-of-way would be widened from 120 feet to 145 feet. Starting again from the outside and moving in, the bicycle and pedestrian facilities would be separated and enhanced. There would be an 8-foot sidewalk, a 7.5-foot landscape section, and a 7-foot bicycle lane. A 2-foot buffer would separate cyclists from the travel lanes. An additional through lane would also be added in both the northbound and the southbound directions. I will now discuss the environmental studies completed for the proposed project. These studies considered the potential impacts of the unfunded improvements as discussed in the previous slide. As part of the project's compliance with NEPA, the City of Austin assessed traffic noise, cultural resources, hazardous materials, water resources, biological resources, and social and community impacts within the corridor. Overall, impacts to environmental resources would be minimal. Throughout the development of these improvements, the city worked to reduce and minimize potential impacts. Following is a summary of the identified impacts. The project contains suitable habitats for 16 species of greatest conservation need. The project would potentially impact 0.58 acres of riparian habitat. Coordination with the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department has been completed. The following best management practices, or BMPs, would be implemented to minimize biological impacts: vegetation BMPs, amphibian and aquatic reptile BMPs for woodhouse's toad, terrestrial reptile BMPs for the eastern box turtle, bird BMPs for the western burrowing owl, and bat BMPs for the cave myotis, big brown bat, eastern red bat, hoary bat, and Mexican free-tailed bat. A traffic noise analysis was conducted in accordance with TxDOT guidelines for analysis and abatement of roadway traffic noise. Noise abatement measures in the form of a barrier wall were considered at 3 apartment locations. Upon further analyses, it was determined that the noise barriers would not be feasible due to ineffectiveness in reducing impacts and constructability factors such as right-of-way, utilities, blocking business access, and cost constraints that exceeded approved reasonable noise wall barrier cost as set by the Federal Highway Administration. No displacements are anticipated as a result of the proposed project. Access management measures, including median islands and driveway consolidations, are proposed to improve safety and mobility for all users. The project would include the closure of 8 driveways. However, properties impacted by driveway closures would remain accessible by other access points to the property. The proposed project includes intermittent raised median islands throughout the project area to control left turn movements and to reduce the risk of potential crashes, as well as improve comfort levels for motorists and pedestrians. Limited English proficiency, or LEP populations, were identified within the project area. LEP persons were given and will continue to be given the opportunity for meaningful involvement in the NEPA process. The project would not have any adverse impacts on low-income or minority populations. The bike lanes, sidewalks, and intersection improvements were included in the design to provide a safe environment for bicyclists and pedestrians. The Burnet Road project is consistent with the Capital Area Metropolitan 2040 Regional Transportation Plan adopted in 2015. Overall, the project would provide increased safety and connectivity for all modes of transportation, which is consistent with the City of Austin's Strategic Mobility Plan. 2 potential waters of the U.S. were located within the project limits. It is anticipated that any impacts to waters of the U.S. would be authorized through Nationwide Permit Number 14 for linear transportation projects. No wetlands were identified within this corridor. The project would meet Section 401 Water Quality Certification and would warrant compliance with Section 402 requirements under a blanket certification from the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, or TCEQ, for projects permitted by Nationwide Permit Number 14. Coordination with TCEQ would be required under their pre-existing agreement with TxDOT. We anticipate that the project will receive environmental clearance this summer. Plans for our first construction project at the Burnet Road and Breaker Lane intersection are currently in development and should be completed in summer 2020. Some utility relocations are expected as part of this project. The anticipated construction start date is late 2020. Plans for the improvements for the remainder of the project area from US 183 to the Mopac Frontage Road are in concurrent development and should be completed in fall 2021. As a reminder, these project limits of Burnet Road, owned and maintained by TxDOT, are the focus of this presentation. Some utility relocations are anticipated as part of this larger project. The anticipated construction start date is late 2022. As stated at the beginning of this presentation, all comments received, whether written or verbal, will be included in the official record of this public hearing. Verbal comments up to 3 minutes in length may be provided at 512-974-8833. Written comments may be submitted via the City of Austin webpage, by email or by letter. The webpage, email address, and mailing address are located on this presentation. All comments we receive by Friday, June 5th, 2020 will be recorded, analyzed, and responded to in a summary report. The comments and responses will be made available to the public on the city's website. This concludes the virtual public hearing presentation. Thank you for your interest and participation. Please be well and be safe in this season.